Well, I'm gonna just have to say it. This is my favorite microphone of all time. Hey guys, it's Rachel Tapscott here. Today we're going to do a complete walkthrough of the Rode Wireless Go 2, from pulling it out of the box, what each and every setting means, and some best practices to record great quality audio. A couple of years ago, I bought the original Wireless Go and I loved it for its versatility and great sound quality. The audio you're listening to right now is coming from that microphone. The updated version has some great features that I'm about to cover in great detail, and I have a link where you can check out the microphone below, as well as to any other software or devices that I mentioned in the video. Plus, you'll find a link to my full equipment guide with my favorite tools that I use all the time. Towards the end of the video, I'll also walk you through the Rode Central app, where you can unlock some more advanced features with your microphones. And since this is such a long video covering everything I could possibly think of, check out the timestamps below for any specific questions you have. So let's have a look at the devices and run through the buttons and their functions. Let's look at the receiver first. The power button is here at the top. Press and hold it until it turns on. On the bottom is the gain control and mute button and the channel selection button. Pressing the gain control button will increase the gain, with the lowest setting starting at -30 decibels, increasing in increments of 3 all the way up to 0 decibels. If you press the channel select button, you'll see a box appear around each microphone in turn, and this will turn the gain control button into a mute and unmute function. The other function of this button is to disconnect the transmitter from the receiver. There will probably never be a reason for you to do this, but just so you're aware, if your transmitters do become disconnected for any reason, you do a similar process to reconnect them. Hit the channel select button, select the transmitter, press and hold the channel select button for 3 seconds, and it'll put it into pairing mode. And then with the transmitter turned on, you just hit the power button once and it will pair again. These microphones come automatically paired. You don't have to do anything but turn them on and they're ready to go. Every time you turn them on, they'll be set up exactly how you left them. You might want to put a little marker or a label on them to remember which one is which if you have them set up for specific scenarios. On the side of the receiver is a USB-C input for charging using the cables that come with the kit, and a 3.5mm TRS connection where you plug the device into your phone or camera. When it is plugged in to your recording device, it will automatically be recognized as an external microphone. No further setup is required. Both devices have a belt clip on the back, which can also act as a cold shoe mount for the top of your camera. Now let's look at the body of the transmitter. The transmitter is quite simple. The power button is on the bottom, and same with the receiver, you press and hold until it turns on. On the top, we have the 3.5mm TRS input, where you can plug in the lavalier mic that comes in the kit, then the inbuilt microphone in the center, which actually records really great audio itself, as you're hearing right now, the battery light, and the connectivity indicator. If the battery light starts flashing on your transmitter, that means the battery is getting low, and if it starts flashing faster, that means you're almost out of battery. But you can also look at the display on the receiver to see where all the battery levels are at for each device. On the side is the USB-C input for charging. When you plug in the lavalier, it automatically takes over from the inbuilt microphone. One of the major updates is the second transmitter. The fact that 2 microphones can communicate with one receiver is really quite impressive, because traditionally, if you wanted to record 2 speakers, you would have to have 2 full transmitter and receiver kits, which means extra equipment and adapters to link it all up, or you'd have to record separate tracks and sync it all together in post. This is awesome if you have 2 speakers in your video, or perhaps if you're interviewing someone, you can record yourself and your guest with individual microphones that transmit back to a single input. Most DSLR and mirrorless cameras only have one audio input, so the Wireless Go makes this really easy. These devices have a 7-hour battery life. You can continue to use them while they charge, which is easy enough to plug the receiver in while you're recording, but it's probably not so practical to plug in the transmitter while it's hidden somewhere on your person. The only time you should really run into trouble is if you're shooting continuously all day. If it is only a single person shoot, you could swap out the transmitters as one gets low on battery, and if you are out and about and won't have access to any power, you could get a power bank to charge the microphones during breaks. Unlike the original version, the Wireless Go 2 can now connect to your computer through the USB-C cable, and it's automatically recognized as an external microphone. So you can use this mic in your computer to record screen captures, do online training, even plug it in for important video calls to have higher quality audio. The Wireless Go 2 is also compatible with Rode's other microphone accessories, such as the Rode Interview Go. If you are out and about doing Vox Pop style filming, this could be a great tool for that field reporter look. When you record audio, you record two channels, a left channel and a right. When you listen in headphones, you hear individual left and right channels, but most of the time the audio is mixed as a dual mono, meaning you hear exactly the same thing from both sides. But sometimes playing with the channel pan can create cool effects, making the listener only hear certain things on one side. There are two modes you can use to record with the Wireless Go 2, split mode and merged mode. In audio recording, these are more commonly referred to as stereo and mono. Split mode, or stereo, means an individual left and right channel is being recorded. Merged, or mono, basically means the same thing as being recorded on both channels. With the Wireless Go 2 in split mode, you can have channel 1 capturing sound from transmitter 1 and channel 2 capturing sound from transmitter 2, and be able to separate these audio tracks in post and make further refinements to them. If you were to record in merged mode, the inputs from both microphones would record to both channels. You won't be able to separate them later. You'd only be able to edit the audio as a whole. To change between the modes, hold down both the gain button and the channel selection button simultaneously for 3 seconds. You'll notice on the display, the audio levels change from channels 1 and 2 to a single bar. Here are some examples of how you would use both of these modes for different purposes. The split setting is great when you're recording two people talking in the same shot. In post, you can mute the person who is not talking to get rid of any unwanted background noise, or if one presenter has a much louder voice than the other, you can match these audio levels. In merged mode, you wouldn't have this flexibility. Split mode is also great if you're filming a presenter on stage and want to record Q&A from the audience. You could attach the second transmitter to the Rode Interview Go to be passed around to the audience so you can record clean audio of the questions. If you're only recording one person, or if you're a solo creator recording yourself and only using one of the transmitters, this is where you'd want to put it into merged mode. Otherwise, it's only going to capture audio on one channel. If you left it in split mode and used this clip exactly as it is when you export your video, your audio is only going to play out of the left side because the right side has no data. You can fix this in your editing software if you forget to change the mic setting over beforehand, and you'll know if it's only recorded on one channel because it'll look something like this with the waveforms only displaying on the left side. Another feature of the merged mode is you can record a safety channel, which is set 20 decibels lower than your input. So if you're in a situation where the audio has the potential to clip, maybe you're filming fitness videos where your presenter is really enthusiastic and their voice is up and down, you can turn on the safety channel, which you can fall back on if any audio gets distorted. This isn't usually necessary if you're creating talking head videos like this, so my recommendation would be to put it into merged mode and leave the safety channel off so you record clear audio on both channels. You can also use the Wireless Go with your smartphone if you get the TRS to TRRS adapter plus a lightning adapter for iPhone. The fact that you can have a wireless microphone attached to your smartphone means you don't even need a camera to make great videos anymore. You could even start a whole YouTube channel with just your phone. A new feature that I think is quite genius is that each transmitter now has an internal recording system. So both microphones can record their own audio separately to what is transmitted back and captured in your camera. You now have an audio backup in case there are any Wi-Fi interruptions, or if by some really unfortunate event you happen to lose the files. Each microphone can record up to 40 hours of compressed audio or 7 hours of uncompressed audio. You can set this up and access your recordings in the Rode Central app, which we'll talk about soon. Once it's full, it will auto-overwrite the older files. This also means if you are doing audio-only productions like podcasts, you don't necessarily need a whole heap of audio equipment. You can record your show straight into the Wireless Go. You'll see this little sun icon in the center of the display that indicates whether it's in power saver mode or not. So right now, where the little sun has rays, it is not in power save mode. But if you press the power button just once, you'll see that the rays disappear, indicating power saver mode is now on. After about 10 seconds, the screen will dim so it's not using as much battery power, keeping the screen constantly lit up. If you press it again to wake it up, and then once more, it'll take it out of power saver mode. If you've turned your microphone and camera settings right down, but you're still getting too much input into your microphone, maybe you're out and about filming interviews and vox pops in a really loud environment, you might want to turn on the low sensitivity mode. This basically means that the mic is less sensitive to noise, so you'll be able to record audio at a lower level. You can either access this mode through the receiver or in the Rode Central app. To turn it on using the receiver, you press the channel select button for the input you want to change, and then hold down the mute button for 3 seconds until this little blue arrow appears, indicating low sensitivity mode is now on. If your mic is muted, this symbol will be covered. You'll need to unmute the mic for the arrow to appear. The Wireless Go 2 uses a digital signal instead of an RF signal that a lot of other audio systems use. RF microphones can experience interruption if there are other radio devices in the vicinity of where you're filming. For example, if there's a lot of chatter on police radios nearby, it can cause interruptions in the audio. A digital signal doesn't have the same problem, and it's much less likely you'll experience any kind of interruption. But ideally, you still want to keep your transmitter line of sight with your receiver to avoid any issues. The microphones have a 200-meter line of sight range, so you're pretty safe for most scenarios. But the main reason for any interruptions would be if the transmitter gets covered in any way, such as fitness videos, maybe demonstrating some crunches or burpees, and the mic pack becomes covered under the person's body. This is where the backup record feature can really come in handy, because if you do lose signal with the receiver, you have the backup that you can download from the transmitter. When you're working with audio, think of 0 as the top. This is the loudest your audio can be. Anything above 0 is clipped. There is no usable data there. Depending on how badly it's clipped, it's unlikely you'll be able to recover it as anything usable. Your Wireless Go may be set up with this basic wedge indicator for audio, which is something you can toggle in the Rode Central app if you'd like more control. The empty wedge is -4 decibels, then -12, then the full wedge is 0. The best way to set your audio level if you're using a camera is to set your camera's internal audio record level as low as possible without turning it off, and then enhancing the gain on the microphone until you have a clear audio input coming through, which is usually around -6 decibels. The reason for this is the higher the audio record level in your camera, the more background noise or static you might hear as the camera is trying to boost the audio itself. Increasing the input from your microphone will give you a cleaner result. If you look at the levels on the Wireless Go display, you'll see it signals green here, yellow if the input is getting too high, and red if it's clipped. A good place to be is just as it hits the yellow, but primarily in the green. Once your microphone is set up on you or on the person you're filming, do a practice with how loud they're actually going to talk in the recording so you can set your levels accordingly. Let's jump in and look at the Rode Central app, where you can unlock some advanced features and access your microphone recordings. You can download the Rode Central app for Mac and PC on the Rode website. There's also a mobile app now available, but you need the Rode SC15 or SC16 adapter to connect it to your phone, which unfortunately doesn't come with the device. Plug your devices into your computer with the USB-A to USB-C cables that come with the system. You'll see my transmitter and receiver automatically appear in the window. Let's look at the receiver first. In the app, you can toggle whether the backlight is bright or dim. Choose between whether the gain mode is set to fine, meaning it'll display 11 different gain options in decibel format, or fully reliant on your camera, or coarse, displaying low, medium, and high in the wedge format. Whichever mode you choose, you can then set your audio level here or on your device. You can toggle between split mode and merged mode, and when merged mode is on, you can turn the safety channel on and off. You can then choose whether the power button remains as the backlight dim button or if you'd like to use it as a marker. This could be helpful if you're doing interviews and would like to mark key points for later reference. The device will charge while it's plugged into your computer, and you can also access any software updates as they become available, which the app will prompt you upon connecting your device. Now let's look at the transmitter. Any recordings will be available here. You can click on them to preview, and then you can download them to your computer by choosing your settings and clicking Export. If you click on the cog, you can access more settings. You can turn the internal record on and off. When this function is activated, it'll automatically start recording as soon as you turn the microphone on, and not just while your camera is recording. So something to keep in mind if you're using the internal record feature and taking bathroom breaks with your microphone still attached. You can turn on the pad, which is the low sensitivity function that we talked about earlier. You can set the LEDs to be bright or dim, and set whether the power button has a secondary function as a marker, as a mute and unmute button, or nothing at all. You can also choose whether you record in uncompressed broadcast quality or in standard compressed quality. I'd recommend sticking to uncompressed broadcast quality, which will give you more editing flexibility and better sound. Finally, you can see how much recording space you have left and delete old files if you'd like. But as the files will auto overwrite when the storage is full, you don't need to worry about this. And that is your rundown of the Rode Central app. You won't need to go into the app every time you use the microphone. Most settings you need, you can access through the devices themselves. It might be that you'll set the settings you want to work with all the time in the app, and then all you have to do is set your audio levels when you go to shoot. Finally, let's look at some different options and best practices for positioning your microphone to capture great audio. The best place to position your microphone is around the top of the sternum here, or you can remember it as L is for lavalier. You can either use the internal mic or attach the lavalier cable. If you opt for the internal mic, I found the best places to position it is under a shirt, in a shirt or jacket pocket, or on the inside of a button-up. If you're wearing a t-shirt, you can clip it to the collar, but be aware that if the material isn't sturdy enough and the mic falls against your throat, the sound can become completely distorted. If you want to use the inbuilt microphone for filming outside, the kit does come with these fairy windshields that clip on top of the mic. They've also been updated since the original model with a half-turn clip, so they don't fall off so easily. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of how this looks, as it's quite obvious, so my recommendation for filming outside would be to either clip the wireless go under your shirt or to use the lavalier microphone. If you choose to use the lavalier cable, here are some tips for positioning and securing the microphone on different items of clothing. A little trick to make it look more professional is to create the broadcast loop. This microphone is designed for that, so all you have to do is loop the wire and hook it into this little notch, and then every time you go to use the mic, it's already looking neat and professional. Notice the difference. It's easiest to position or hide the mic if you're wearing a button-up shirt or a tie or a blazer. You can hide the wire on the inside of your clothing so it's quite subtle. Or position it in reverse so you can hardly see it at all. Just be aware of potential clothing rub sounds if you clip it this way. If you're wearing a t-shirt, thread the microphone up under your shirt and secure it in place like this. It can sometimes be difficult to keep the mic in place on soft fabrics, or it'll weigh down the shirt because it's too heavy for the material. In these situations, you could try clipping it on a strap or even sticking it to your skin under your shirt. Or if your outfit has a neckline like this, sometimes it just looks neater to clip it on the side. If you want to hide the mic completely, there are microphone mounting systems like this that you can buy to stick the microphone to your skin with double-sided tape or surgical tape. But a quick way to do this is to grab 2 pieces of gaffer tape, fold into triangles, Position the cable in between them, making sure the microphone itself isn't obstructed, and stick it to your skin under your shirt. The texture of some fabrics will create unwanted sound as they rub on the microphone cable when you move around. A technique to remove some of the unwanted sound is to tie the wire in a loose knot like this, which acts as a breaker for that rustling sound traveling up the cable. It's always a good idea to do a test record with the outfit you're planning to wear and make sure it's going to be microphone friendly. There are some sounds that you just can't fix in post. That was a lot of content. I hope I've answered any questions you could possibly have about using the Wireless Go 2. If I have missed anything, please leave a comment below and I will do my best to answer it for you. I would love to know what stage you're at in your video creation journey and what kind of topics will be most helpful for you. Check out these videos for more ideas, and I'll see you in the next one.